Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another fantastic edition fantastic edition of The Ghost and the Goat. I am your host, Buddy Thayer. I'm the paranormal investigator of the two team group here. My co-host Bams is the sports guy, aka the Goat. Bams is dealing with some health issues recently. Had hurt his back at work. He's a union worker, and he a pipe fitted too far, and Bams hurt his back, and he's been kind of on the shelf. So, Bams, we're thinking about you here. If you want to, come in later, we'll talk Red Sox. Oh my God, my Red Sox are doing well. Ooh, fingers crossed. We're a game ahead in the third wild card spot in the AL East. Granted, the All-Star game and the halfway point of the season is only a couple weeks away, and I'm already talking playoffs. But they've played a whole lot better than they have. They were. You can talk about it if the Bams comes on. If not, well, we'll just save it for another week. Tonight we have a really great guest. But before I bring him on tonight, a few quick announcements. So, The Ghost and the Goat, this show here is Van Down by the River podcast.com. We also host two other shows. One is the Mid Card with my co-host who's not here at the moment. Bams, he does a wrestling show with Joey. Joey Paranormal, Joey Wrestling, Joey a little bit of everything. Joey, our video guy for another show, and they talk wrestling and all that fun stuff on Friday nights. And I don't follow the Squared Circle, but if you do, quite the show. Even if you don't, they're very entertaining to listen to because they both know exactly what they're talking about. Speaking of knowing exactly what they're talking about, let's focus on me. On Thursday evening, my two dudes will join me, and the third episode of Three Dudes Brews premieres live Thursday evening. It's a pre-recorded show that we record at the brewery with brewers. We brewmasters. We talk to them about their beers, about what they love, what they're passionate about brewing, what they want to brew. We taste their beers. We have a little competition on the show. I have not yet secured, only because of the wackiness of rock, paper, scissors. I don't think it's a great way I think we should just drink more beer. But anyway, that will all get solved, all get worked out in the wash. Tune into another great show live Thursday night to a Van Down by the podcast here on Facebook. And we're filming our next show on Saturday from Six Pack Brewing with Mark Pappy. He's a swell fella. And he made some beers for me on the last podcast I did. I got it right here. I got the can right here. While I don't like to support legit paranormal, we did make a beer with Mark Pappy, and it was pretty good. So tune into all the great shows here on the Van Down by the River podcast, and of course, this show here, The Goat and the Ghost. Now, without further ado, you didn't tune in to listen to me. You're not here to listen to me babble on about great beers and sports and all that stuff. You're here to hear some really good paranormal stuff. Tonight is no exception. We have an award-winning filmmaker, something to do with the paranormal, specifically the Conjuring House. Really big interest of my own because right now I'm sitting in the greatest state in the Union, the state of Rhode Island, where also is where the Conjuring House is. Just about 15 minutes north of, maybe 20 minutes north of here. Right down, go up the back roads, right down 7, and then you turn on 101, then 98, and yeah. Right before the Massachusetts border. It's a lovely house. Check out his film. Check out all his stuff. He's a paranormal investigator. He's a musician. Welcome to the show. Oh my God, where's my arrow? Joe Vitale. Oh, Joe Vitale. Oh, there he is. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey.
How's it doing? Man, the sweat on my fingers because it's like 90 degrees down here, and my finger just wouldn't move. How is it while we're at, man? Is it sweaty? Is it sweaty, if you will?
Yeah, it's definitely swamp ass season.
Oh, dude, I love it. I love going to the ocean. I love going fishing. I love being outdoors. I love everything about the summertime in New England. These ozone days, though, these heat waves, they're rough on a fat kid, dude. I'm telling you.
Oh, so I know.
Yeah. So you're a paranormal investigator, Joe. How long have you been doing it for, and what got you into the ghost stuff?
So on and off for 30 years. I got started when I was a teenager.
Wow.
And I actually was not interested in the paranormal. Wasn't interested in it at all, to be honest. Lived in a house that had some stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Terrified me. It wasn't, Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah, it never is.
It didn't help that I had a family member who didn't live in the house, but very religious, my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was of the devil. Like ghosts don't exist, none of that, it's always the devil.
Right. Don't even ask about it because that's a sin too.
Right. So she'd sit there and say, well, the devil can do this, and the devil can do that. And just like telling me all these crazy things the devil can do.
Right.
But then she's like, but there's Jesus. That's great. So besides walking on water, turning water into wine, and doing a few miracles, like Mike Tyson or something here, like, come on, give me more here, because the devil sounds pretty hardcore.
Right. He can do a whole hell of a lot.
Right. So I was terrified of it. So anytime I hear the word, ghost or something like that, it's like, nope, want nothing to do with it. So eventually my parents, they got rid of it. And I was actually, this is a couple years or something like that after that.
Whereabouts was the house? What state was the house in?
Oh, it was in Michigan.
Oh.
Southeast Michigan. So I was with a friend of mine. And at that time, we were just like, we're all dumb teenagers. And we'd all go to this restaurant because this restaurant was like, hey, you don't have to order anything. You can just get free coffee just for walking through the door. So as teenagers, let's go do this coffee thing and pretend like we're like adults or whatever.
Of course.
Oh, I wish that's what it was like to be an adult. But so I was with a friend of mine, and he was kind of teasing me a little bit about the house. He always did.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't like being super serious or anything like that. Just pop some jokes or whatever. And behind us in a booth is a paranormal team. I didn't know. And I didn't know. I had no idea that even existed, because at that time, this was on TV. These were, these people, they were always on TV, and that was really it.
Yep.
That's all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets up, use the bathroom, whatever. He runs into some other people. And he starts talking to them, and then this guy, he's in his mid-20s, gets up, and then there he is standing there. So I hear your friend, kind of teasing you about, this house, what about wanting to know things about it? I'm like, who the hell are you?
Right.
I'm a teenager. I'm like 14, 15 years old or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
And he was asking these questions, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. So he said to me, he's like, hey, he looked around. He's like, maybe we'll take you with us, and you can tell us more about it, safer environment, whatever. Wasn't having it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that. And then I was like a week or two later, I was with my dad. We were at a gas station. My dad knew the gas station owner, and he was in there talking to the gas station owner, which also doubled as, because remember back in the day, it was more common too for gas stations to also be mechanic shops as well.
Oh, of course, it's so much more common.
Yeah. So my dad was talking to his buddy who owned the place, and then there was that guy. I'm like, I seen him, and I'm like, oh no, maybe you won't notice me. He noticed me. Mm-hmm. So he comes over to me and he starts talking to me, and I'm like, this guy needs to go. Like, my parents, they don't want nobody to know what happened, with the house or anything like that. That makes everybody look crazy.
Right, exactly.
So he's talking, and he's like, hey, look, we can take you somewhere, wherever, and, we can all talk about it. I'm like, go. I wasn't worried about the dude, trying to kidnap me or anything like that. So I eventually, to get him going, agree. So he ended up writing down the phone number, and I thought that was it. I'm not going to hear anything about it. Nope. I was wrong. Dad answered the phone. He tells me some guy's on the phone, and that was him. He's like, "Hey, we're going to be going to a house this weekend. We've investigated it already. You'll be safe there. So where do you live?" And gave him directions. And I was thinking to myself, how am I supposed to tell my parents? My dad's like, "Who is that guy?" I said, "Oh, that was a friend of mine, his brother. I'm going to stay the night at his house this weekend, and he's going to come pick me up."
Oh, God.
And,
yep. The lies begin.
That.
That's wonderful. So you've been doing this for a very long time. Did you experience anything that first time you were out?
So when I went with them, I really just sat in the kitchen, and when there was just a conversation, like they would kind of rotate in and out and stuff like that. I didn't experience anything. In fact, when I went with them, because I then started to go with them, and it was quite a few months before I actually experienced something. Within that time, from first going and then having that first experience, I wouldn't even say it was much of an experience, anyways. But the first few times, I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And then I just kind of forgot about it, and it was just like hanging out. It's somebody's house, literally. And
you become more relaxed with it. I find, right? You just eventually get used to it almost.
And then it was, okay, Joe, Bill, you're gonna investigate the living room. We're gonna go investigate over, wherever. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue. As it turned out, I guess I did. So that in itself was scary. And then doing your first EVP session.
Right.
Out of the millions of things you could possibly ask, the first thing that I ask is, "Are you dead?"
Good question.
And yeah. So then I kind of had a little bit of fear in me now, because now I'm actually doing this. And I didn't want to look stupid. I didn't want to embarrass myself. That added on to it as well. And then it just, I don't know, over time, it was just whatever, no big deal. I'm just going to go investigate and whatever.
So when would you say, while you were, have you had when did you have your first holy shit moment? When was it oh my God, this is a thing. There's nothing else that no one could convince me of anything otherwise. It's definitely something real. When did you have that moment, or have you had that moment yet?
No, I've had that moment, and that was living in that house, that holy shit moment, where this is real. You see it on TV or whatever. I was young, so I wasn't exactly exposed to too much of the whole paranormal thing anyways. But that holy shit moment came when I was young, when I was just barely a teenager, living in the house. We always had a suspicion that something was going on, but that holy shit moment came when I was in the kitchen. My dad and stepmom, they were getting ready to take off for the night, and they had my stepmom's sister come to babysit our little sister. The rest of my brothers, they were gone. And a wine glass slid, because my dad had a hanging wine glass thing, whatever the hell you want to call it. It slid off. There was no reason for it. Well, of course, I got blamed for it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't do it. What the hell?
It was the ghost.
Yeah. So I ended up having to, I was told to go in your room, you're grounded. And that in itself is ridiculous, whether I did it or not. I mean, accidents happen. It wasn't like you did it on purpose. But anyways, I went up in the room, hung out, and I was just laying on my bed playing with stupid silver hawks, if anybody remembers those. And there were 3 knocks on our closet door. And I'm like, what? So at first I thought maybe Maybe it was my stepbrother. Maybe he wasn't gone yet. I wasn't sure. But he was gone. And it was in my head that I knew he was gone, but maybe. So I opened the closet door. And this is a big walk-in closet. Like, you could literally fit a twin bed in this closet.
Oh, wow.
I open it up, and there's nothing. I look in the clothes hampers, wherever. Nobody's there.
Yep.
I close the doors back up. I turn the light on. There was about a half-inch gap between the floor and the closet doors. I thought, I'll be able to see somebody in there. We should be able to see feet. Now, at the time, I didn't realize this, but I was actually trying to debunk. I didn't realize that at the time.
Right.
So, hung out again, on my bed, doing whatever. And as soon as I heard the first knock, I turn and I look. And then comes the other two. I didn't see a damn thing. I'm like, what the hell? Right. So then my aunt came up the stairs with my sister. And I'm like, Aunt Barbara, like, there is something knocking on this door. So she stood there for like 5 seconds. Oh, it's nothing. And then she went and got whatever with my sister, and they headed back downstairs. And the knocks were much louder. I'm like, nope, I'm out of here. Nope, not doing it. And that's when, that's when I knew, like, this shit is real. But like I said, I've always had that suspicion. And then from there, there's a lot of other things that happen. One of the things that I've noticed, especially with demonic haunting, is it's more psychological. A lot of people think of demonic haunting as, violent or more physical, things like that. It's not. And it doesn't have, like, those kinds of things. When you're in a house that supposedly has a demonic entity in it, this isn't something that happens all the time every day. I mean, we went weeks or months with nothing happening, and then just boom, out of nowhere, something would happen.
Wow.
Did it get physical? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was far more psychological than anything else.
Okay, so you do demonic haunts. Let me ask you something about demonic haunts. So a friend of mine, I've interviewed him on the last show. I've known him for a number of years. He was directly involved with the Conjuring House. One of the first ones directly involved with the Conjuring House. Keith Johnson. He's a demonologist. He's from
great guy.
Wonderful guy. I love him and his brother tremendously.
Guy.
Always there to support me every time. So in an interview, Keith told me that he believes that almost every spiritual entity we as investigators encounter is a demonic entity. He believes they're just trying to trick us. And there's more of them than we actually think, that there's 2% of hauntings is demonic. It's probably the opposite. What are your thoughts? Now, where his brother says the opposite. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you believe they're all demonic? Do you believe that it's only a small percentage? And how do we tell the difference?
So, I'll be honest. We have no idea what the hell we're communicating, if we're even communicating with something at all. We have no clue, right? It very well could something demonic, or it could be something absolutely different, something that we've never even thought about before.
Right.
To a certain point, I will agree and say that we probably have come across something demonic and not realize it, because we think, oh, it's this cute little ghost kid, or this poor woman who had something bad happen to her, and that's who we're communicating with. We have to remember. And it's all based on belief too. Right. That's something that we have to keep in mind, is that it's based on belief. So I'm not like spitting out facts here. Just going by beliefs, and maybe not even necessarily my own, but and it's so funny because this kind of came up a little bit earlier today too, where somebody had said, I've been to this place and they say there's something demonic there. And I went in there and I challenged the thing. I talked shit to it and all this other stuff, and nothing happened. There's no demon there. And it's like, but that's just not how it works.
Right. Like, you can't call them on the command. They're not going to react on command. Then maybe not always going to be there, right? I mean,
right. Like
you say, sometimes it goes months between phenomena. So
it just seems like certain individuals seem to be a target. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I said, a lot of us investigators, we could have very well have gone to a place where there is
Mm-hmm.
something demonic. It just didn't present itself in such a way. Well,
Right.
hell, maybe it just wasn't there that night. I don't know. Maybe they were clocked out. Who knows? I have
Right.
no clue. But then you have a very, very small group of people who go in and they have really bad experiences and they believe it's demonic.
Right.
But then you got the majority of the paranormal going, oh, not everything is a demon. You don't know what you're talking about. And, and all these other things. It's like, in reality, none of us know what the hell we're talking about.
Right.
It's based on belief.
Making good guesses and based on beliefs. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Some people could believe it's a passed over spirit. Some people could believe it's energy. Some people could say it's a demon. Some people would say it's in my own experiences, I've dealt with a lot of negative people. I'll call them assholes. And
Right.
when they die, I tend to think that assholes stay assholes, as good people stay good people. And maybe some of these demons are just assholes. I just a guess, just throwing that out there. But I'm not sure. Like you say, none of us really know at all what's going on.
Right. We really don't. And there are some people who say, well, I know what's going on. And then they give that Christian point of view. And that's what's happening. Like, it's factual. And you have other people who believe different. And that's factual. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, the most honest thing I can say is we have no idea what the hell we're communicating with. None whatsoever.
So when you say psychological, I want to go back to that for a minute, because that's a topic that I work in mental health, so that blends together a lot sometimes, especially with religion, hyper religious, grandiose thoughts, thinking that the devil and the Lord are fighting the war inside your body. How do you psychologically? How is it attacking you? What are some examples?
So one of the things, especially with a place called the Monroe House, and that's where that's where our next documentary, that's where that was filmed at.
Nice.
Very so little things.
Yep.
Like these dumb, like these things that really shouldn't even mean anything, kind of trigger a person. Manipulating feelings or sounding like somebody who may be there with that person, but they didn't say anything. Maybe they're in a completely different room. Like, hey, did you say something? Making sounds that like only that person could hear. Really getting into their head, having that like little voice in the head going, hey, you're worthless, or things like that, or just negative kind of thoughts. Basically, a divide and conquer. I'm going to pick one person and I'm going to fuck with them.
Yep.
And these other people are going to be like, I don't know about this person.
Yep.
They might be losing their shit.
Right. They're tearing down walls and stuff.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Even, and again, I'm not speaking facts here, just belief-based stuff. The smallest thing, dumbest thing can turn into the biggest and most ridiculous argument.
Yeah. For sure. 100%.
And demonic entities, they'll manipulate. And they can, again, based on belief, they can intensify our feelings. They can make us feel far more pissed off, depressed, or whatever. I mean, being at the Monroe House.
Where's the Monroe House at? I'm sorry, I'm just
Hartford City, Indiana.
Oh, nice.
They call it the mysterious Monroe House. Some people call it the Demon House, but and to a point, there's some merit to that. But I remember, we were filming and I was doing an interview, and one of our guys, he was just asking me questions, and I looked over at him, and I literally, for no reason, was pissed off at him. I wanted to get up off the chair and put his nose in the back of his head. But at the same time, I'm like, why am I mad at him? But I'm still
Right.
mad at him.
Right.
There's no reason for me to be mad at him. But I want to go beat his ass.
Yeah.
But there's
Right.
no
Right.
reason. You know, it's the weird conflict thing kind of
Yeah,
going.
for sure.
Um,
I had that very same experience. We have an area in Rhode Island that used to be occupied by the former lad school. Lots and lots of stories of abuse, neglect, people getting murdered and disappeared, kids just dumped there, kids getting murdered. Just an awful, awful place. Finally got closed down in the early '90s, and it's right next to the Veteran Cemetery in Rhode Island. So I was with my wife at the time, and she was. You could say she had an empath. She could say she didn't like to advertise her abilities, but she definitely experienced stuff that nobody else did. We drove as soon as we drove onto the property. She said this overwhelming anger. She's like, I just want to hit you right now. I hate you. I don't know why. And she was just angry, and it went away as quickly as it came on. As soon as we drove off the property, a lot of like really, not saying it was a demon, but a lot of really awful, atrocious things happened there. Funny how that energy can still affect us. Still sits in the ground. The buildings are gone. They haven't been there in November 2013. They tore down the last. February 2013. They tore down the last of the buildings there. So it's all erased. There's a fire academy on the property and a drug rehab on the other side, and nothing. It's all these empty fields. You would never know the lad school was there unless you knew. But oh my God, the energy! You can feel the shift, almost like a barometric pressure shift when you. It's they manipulate energy and they can control energy. Am I skipping on you?
Yeah, you are. I
I'm sorry.
wasn't sure if that was a question or part of what you were just saying.
Do you believe that spirits or demonic entities can manipulate and use energy to interact with us?
I think demonic entities can manipulate. Okay. And that's when, that's one of the things we're talking about, like the red flags. How do you know? It is very hard to know. But some of those red flags, manipulation kind of thing. And if you notice people are getting agitated with one another, it could be I'm not saying it could be a red flag. There's just a lot of things that you have to look at, but at the same time, those kind of hauntings, is believed to be rare. So jumping to the conclusion that, so-and-so got into a fight for no reason, must be a demon. No.
Demon.
Well, so-and-so feels depressed or whatever, it must be a demon. No.
There's usually a very clinical explanation for it, but it's those rare times where there's not, where you get the best of evidence. Sometimes, it's weird. So, speaking of demons and negativity, the Conjuring House here in Rhode Island, you did a documentary on an award-winning documentary, and what's some of the things that you came out with from your documentary? I can say that I was surprised. I can't really speak for anyone else. But I can say that, all of us, we were excited to go there. It's the freaking Conjuring House. And we were among some of the first to go there and investigate and film, which was really cool. And this was when Corey and Jennifer, they owned the house, and they were awesome. They were just awesome. Yep.
And
I heard. We had Joe.
Thank you. Skipping out. You guys' internet over there is crazy.
My internet is terrible. I'm sorry. Joe Ray Nolan came on the show a few weeks ago, and he was a caretaker over there for a while. Spent nights over there, and he spoke well of Corey and Jennifer, right? I'm sorry. Go on.
I came into the house. I felt comfortable. We roamed around the house a little bit. I went off on my own, taking pictures, stuff like that, trying to get a gauge on the house a little bit. And I felt absolutely just so comfortable. The area is beautiful. The house is beautiful. And it's noisy as hell. Um, and I mean, I wasn't expecting anything, honestly. Anytime that I go to a location, I'm like, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be one of those nights. But we kind of got lucky. Now, we did have an event that happened with a rocking chair. And I wasn't saying it was a ghost. But I didn't know what happened. None of us knew what happened. We didn't have an explanation for it. Fast forward 4 years later, somebody came up with an explanation, and then we wanted to make sure, and his explanation is correct. That whole thing with the rocking chair, it was not paranormal, and we're good with it.
So what was it? What made the rocking chair move?
So the rocking chair, the rocking part of the chair, was up against the molding in such a way. So the chair was actually back some, the way the way it was propped up against the wall. So the chair wasn't in its natural position. When it's not moving, nobody's sitting in it and such. But the way it was up against the wall, specifically the bottom part and the molding, made the chair back a little bit. So it was holding a back position. So with us moving around and stuff like that, we popped it loose. It rocked forward, making it look like something was getting out of the chair.
Oh, yeah.
So that, yeah. So, and you know what? We're fine with that. It doesn't bother us at all because we have an explanation for that.
Right.
But there were other things, where I'm like, I don't know.
Stuff like that somewhat makes it feel a little bit more believable because not everything is like, oh my God, this is a ghost. This is something explainable. It's something you can rationalize and you can come up with an answer for it. It makes it a little bit more digestible for those who can't digest the paranormal.
Right. And
so go on about the Conjuring House, please. It's been on my list for years and it's right up the road, but I just still haven't gotten there. So convince me, please.
Oh, I'm not going to convince you of anything.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to go for it. When we went, the first 2 times we went, well, the 3 times. The third time was an event that we did there for the premiere of the Harrisville Haunting.
Yep.
It was 125 a person, to go there and investigate, which is fine. I can't complain too much, especially compared to, the amount of money a lot of other places are asking for, right?
Yep, right.
I mean, nobody go there and expect it to be like this super insane haunted place because it is not that. It's not that at all. Forget what you see on YouTube with these YouTubers. I mean, they're bullshit anyways. Yeah. They're going to this place and like, oh my God, it's wild. Oh, a demon trapped us inside here. And we almost quit because of this. No. I cannot justify, not talking smack here, but I cannot justify paying the price now for that location.
It's very expensive.
It is,
and that's one of the reasons why I haven't taken my team there, because a lot of people just can't afford it, and we'd rather go to like the Paint House, which is $35, or the USS Salem, which is $50, and it's a tremendous activity. So yeah, doesn't say you're not going to get your money's worth, but the money, holy God.
It is my opinion that it's not even the house that's haunted; it's the land. Because their neighbors have claimed that they've had activity. Other people in that area have claimed that to have activity as well.
Yeah, I've worked in Burrville, and the house I worked in a group home, it was very haunted. I worked at Zambarano Hospital, which is right up the road from the Conjuring House, also very haunted. The old tuberculosis hospital. So now a state hospital. Just is it you think it's has anything to do with the geology of the area, the rock content, a lot of limestone in Rhode Island? What are your thoughts on that?
So there's a place that I used to investigate almost every weekend for the past 2 years, Hales Bar Dam, and it's got everything that you would want in terms of what helps produce paranormal activity.
Right.
You got the shell, the limestone, large body of water, quartz zones, just everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time that I'm there, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And when stuff does happen, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I mean, if that was a thing, that belief that large bodies of water and the quartz zone shell, you name it, whatever, that helps paranormal.
Yeah.
That place should be on fire with activity.
Right. You would think, right?
And it is not. I think what it is that if you look at our history and the wars that have happened in our country,
yeah,
where have the majority of these wars taken place? Near bodies of water.
Oh, of course. Creeks, yep. Rivers, yep. Of course. Yep. Cities that are on major rivers, yeah. The American Civil War, the American Revolution, they all focused around bodies of water, yeah.
Right. And there have been thousands upon thousands of deaths that have happened in battlefields.
Mm-hmm.
It's more likely because of those deaths that a place would probably be far more active than others.
Mm-hmm.
Is the cause.
Oh, yeah.
And not the water or whatever minerals, whatever is in the land.
Okay, so that's my next question. Does it have to be a haunting? Is a haunting based on like something violent that happened? Does like a murder have to take place, or somebody kill themselves, or can it be based on like, hey, a guy just lived here for 50 years and he loved the house so much he just comes back? What are your thoughts on that? I
mean, we're still trying to prove that ghosts freaking exist. Why do they hang around?
True.
I don't know. There's a lot of belief to that as well. I mean, some religions believe that it's kind of like a form of purgatory, or that they're afraid to go to the other side because they did something bad, and well, they don't like where they're going. Mm-hmm. The other belief, although not by many, just by few, and I'm kind of in that camp too, is people say, oh, when you die, you go to heaven, or you go to that other place that's really hot, like here in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But yet, if people actually read the Bible and sees what it says about death, we go again based on belief. Mm-hmm. And if people do not agree with this, don't blame you. Don't blame you.
Welcome to America.
When we die, we rest. We rest until the day of judgment. Even with the book of Revelations, it says, when the whole world comes to an end and all this crazy stuff, mm-hmm. the dead will rise from the grave and ascend to heaven, and other people will be taken to heaven. That's a real crazy story, but
a little bit, yeah.
But that's when we will be judged. So perhaps we're just supposed to rest until the day of judgment. I don't know. And maybe what's happening is maybe those that have passed have woken up, so to speak, mm-hmm. In a spiritual kind of sense, I guess you could say. But I don't know. I have no idea.
I think that's my biggest beef with religious people that shoot down the paranormal so quick, because it's against God and it's not in the Bible, but it is in the Bible. If I'm not sure which of the four Gospels, but it talks about the apostles in the days after Jesus died, and they reference the name ghost. They see a ghost of the Lord coming towards them. They see his injuries from the crucifixion. They're terrified of the ghost. They put the word ghost in the Bible. this has been a thing. This is a thing throughout most major religions. Is an afterlife.
Right.
People so opposed to accept that this is probably a thing. You know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there are Catholics that believe that there are human spirits and there are demonic spirits.
100%.
When priests go into a home to see, hey, what's going on here? After they take the appropriate steps, anyways, they go into a home. There are things that they do to see if they can figure out whether or not it is a human spirit or a demonic entity. And they believe that human spirits are capable of really not doing a whole lot of anything other than making noise, moving small objects, and that's it. And they'll ask these questions and see if they can get a response. But if you're getting, I guess you could say, mimicking of people or heavy things being moved around, things like that, that to them would be the red flags of something demonic.
Right.
So, I mean, there are Christians out there, Catholics, others who do believe that, hey, a human haunting is a thing.
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
Oh, sure. I do.
Oh, for sure. One of my favorite Catholics of all time, fellow Rhode Islander, Catholic priest, longtime Catholic priest, Father Bob Bailey, used to be on the show Paranormal State. Demonologist, was on our show. Great guy. Like I said, fellow beer enthusiast. He's been nagging me. He's like, buddy, we got to go to a brewery. I'm like, Father Bob, you and James, let's go to a brewery. It'd be great. But he transcended through religion and not only thinks that ghosts and demons are real, but actively investigates and helps people to alleviate these problems. So he's if you don't know Father Bob, he's do you know Father Bob, Joe?
I don't believe I do. There's so many people in this field.
Right.
I could probably know him and I wouldn't even realize it.
He does travel the country quite a bit, but yeah, he's a great guy. Old guy, old priest, old retired Catholic priest. He did the Presidium Warriors of St. Michael for a number of years, and it just started up again with James Anito, who's a younger guy, a younger demonologist, another great guy. Just great to see like that. Not like that forgetting their faith, but that they're laying that stuff aside and they're just seeing things with their eyes and making. He just makes good observations. He's a good guy. He's just he can see through the bullshit. I guess that's the best way of me explaining that. So, what's some other places that you've investigated that have been super active that you've done documentaries or you want to do documentaries on? What's your bucket list, Joe? What's that look like?
So, well, when it comes to filming documentaries, we're very careful. We have to be very careful about where we go to, because they're expensive.
Of course,
making a documentary is expensive. We try to keep them as cheap as possible. I mean, the biggest expense is the location itself. And we were talking, the price of locations. Just because we make documentaries and they get put out there, it doesn't mean we're rolling around in money.
Of course not. No, of course not.
I mean,
probably cost just you're putting more money in than you're getting out. But
I mean, it hasn't changed my life in a money situation kind of way. It's like, yeah, my car's got almost 300,000 miles on it. I wish.
So you talk about these higher priced places like the Conjuring House. I don't know what they're up to now. It is upward around $200, I believe. So, and they do the glamping, the ghost camping outside, and
well, that was weird too because they told us they didn't want us to go outside. I'm like, but during the summer, you guys let people go out there and fucking camp. Why can't we go outside and investigate? So it cost me. It cost me, and this was for a +1 as well.
Mm-hmm.
$1,536.
Whoa!
Then
To investigate or to stay the whole trip, everything?
to investigate 13 hours, right?
Jesus Christmas.
Because I was putting content on YouTube.
Yeah.
Then I had another group with us. They're going to put content on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I got this covered for everyone. No, they wanted like an additional, I think it was like $950. It costs over $2,000.
Oh my God. And then travel, right? Then you had to do travel expenses?
Then there's the travel expenses, Airbnb, things like that. It was an expensive, it kicked our asses.
I bet.
But we had a great time, but I don't know the current owner personally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's a she. I know it's a she. I'm just not sure her name.
Yeah, somebody needs to tell her the Conjuring house is not that special, and it really is not that haunted, and it can't compete with a lot of other places out there.
Right. I from what I understand, it can't. Places like in Coventry, Rhode Island, it's a house called the Payne House. Our guest last week, Maggie, her group kind of like manages the comings and goings. I've investigated there twice myself. I want to bring my group back. It's super haunted. They charge $35 per person, and it all goes to the organization that maintains the history of the house. So I have no problem doing that.
Right.
The USS Salem in Quincy, super active. Don DeCristofaro is a wonderful man. He will give you an awesome tour of a Navy vessel from the 1950s. It was a flagship of the fleet. Not a ton of violent stuff happened there, but oh my God, the activity is incredible. And it's you're paying like 50 to $75 per person. It's not that bad. It's not going to break the bank.
No,
as paranormal investigators,
cheap.
we don't make money. I don't charge anybody for anything. I donate all my time. So
I want to investigate a battleship. I've never investigated a battleship.
Oh, you got to come out to Boston, man.
And I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I'm sure there's challenges to it.
Of course.
I mean, God, that would be awesome.
You go down like 3 decks, you're sitting in a room. It's like the control room. It looks like it's frozen in 1955. You get the drop down boards where they commanded the whole ship, and it's dead silent. Jeez. You can't hear a thing because you're buried in the middle of this piece of metal. The EVPs are tremendous. They're tremendous.
So that would be that. Yeah, that is a bucket list thing. Investigate a battleship. Damn it.
Yep. We have a few in Massachusetts, but the one in Quincy is probably the best that I've been on. I've been on a bunch of battleships, and that's the only one I felt creeped out on walking alone. And I like those feelings because I think that means something, and I'm gonna like set up a recorder and talk to some people or talk to myself in the dark. But usually that's where I get the best responses. Do you go by feeling? Do you get the feelings? How do you pick where you're gonna start?
Well, when it comes to with documentaries, we have to look at the history, and we want to look at what kind of activities coming out of that location. One of the things that I have found is that we had asked people, "Hey, can you send us, footage if you got it, of the Monroe House, so we can put it in our documentary?" And we had people sending us footage, and we're watching it, and we're like, it's called gravity. That's why that happened. And then there was one, which I don't really blame them for being fooled by this, but it was like a really weird light anomaly. And once I really got a good look at it, I realized it wasn't anything paranormal. It was actually a reflection, except it just looked weird. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, then really looking into it, it was just a reflection.
Oh, that's not nothing, man.
Yeah.
I've had people send me pictures and like, buddy, look at this orb. Look at this picture for me. You see this bright flash, and you look at it further, and it's like, I can see your reflection as you're holding up your camera. Take it, dude. That's you. That's not a ghost. And they're like, oh, you're an asshole. You just don't like me. You want to steal my. No, dude. That's just not an orb. That's nothing. It's you.
Well, I love it when people are doing selfies and then they got a mirror behind them.
Oh yeah.
And it actually gets the front of their face. The mirror does because of the reflection of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And they take that picture and it looks weird. And they're like, oh my God, there's something behind me. And look at this. And it's like, here's the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, you weren't there. You know, and I'm like, well, I don't really have to be there to tell you that this photo is you, but you look creepy.
Yep.
After,
so it's a reflection. I've had that of a TV. The TV was in the living room, and it was an open floor plan. This lady's standing in the kitchen. She takes a picture of her granddaughter, and in the reflection of the window behind her granddaughter, it's like this awful face. But it was, you could see in the back, you could see like when you look at the zooming in, you see the frame of the television. Like, dude, that's your television. It's like, oh, she felt like an idiot. But no, that's okay. I'd rather no, you don't have a demon hunting your two-year-old granddaughter. It's actually just a reflection.
Right. Let's see. Oh God, the other thing that kills me too is people take these pictures. They're like, look, I captured an orb, and I'm like, okay, so here's what happened. You know, your flash caught this thing, and that's what's happened. Whatever, it's not an orb. I didn't use flash. Can you send me the original picture? And they send me the original, and it's showing me that they used flash, and I'm like, well, you used flash. No, I didn't. I know I didn't use flash. Mm-hmm. Well, according to your metadata here, you used flash, and it took 1/600 of a second to take this photo, and your f-stop was at f2.6. All the data's there. That data doesn't lie, but the data's wrong apparently.
Of course, because it's got to be a demon. It's got to be a demon, or even better, like somebody will like, dude, I think I got a ghost. Well, what makes you think that? Well, I've been hearing stuff in my living room at night when I'm sleeping. Okay, go on. So I set up a camera. Oh, good. I got some video to show. Great. They sent me the video. It's, you know, a dark living room, and it's the night light, and you see like the dust. You see those orbs? No. What are you talking about? Those. You don't see that cloud. You see a cloud of orbs. It's a spirit. You can see faces. Dude, your vent for your HVAC is like right there. The airflow. That's the airflow of your house. You have this dust. No, my house is clean. I'm sure your house is clean. You have dust, microorganisms, all sorts of stuff, moisture, vapor. Everything else is floating by that you can't see with your eye, that your digital camera is picking up perfectly, and things that you're not used to seeing now become ghosts. Those are not ghosts. That's something that's there all the time, and they're not going to possess you. But they still think they're ghosts. I don't know. I don't know if I cut out it all there. I probably did, but that's what I got to say.
No, you didn't cut out.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we're real picky. We got to think about the price. We got to think about, you know, the history, what comes out of these places.
Yeah.
I mean, our last investigation was out in Texas, the Hill House, and I'm not saying it's not haunted, but I mean, we've done a lot of research. I got a lot of other people involved in the research, and just the stories that are told, they absolutely cannot be verified.
Yep.
We can't find a way to verify. Like, everything comes to a dead end. And
yeah, right. Of course, like the witch and the Conjuring, there's no actual recorded history of any of that.
Right.
There's a very well documented history of the area for the past 250 years. It's just nothing that really indicates that she was a witch. There's no trials. There's no nothing. She's buried in a cemetery right in town. One of the most vandalized gravestone in all of Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's awful, though.
When we went there in March, I thought it'd be a great idea for everyone to go and check out her grave. I want because I think it's important that when we hear about these people who get blamed for doing horrible things, I want people to, like, even though we can't meet them in person, at least go to where they are buried and just kind of let that sink in.
Right.
And the damage that it was done because of those stories.
Mm-hmm.
This woman's grave really isn't even there. Her headstone isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a base.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's down to the base now. Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it since that. The last time I saw it, it was held together by a brace, and somebody used cement to cement the stone together, which, honestly, I volunteer with cemetery restoration people, and that is the worst way to repair a stone ever. And they absolutely did more damage than good. It was one of the old police chiefs, I think, of the area, and he used cement, and he absolutely destroyed. Now it's gone. Now the entire thing is gone, which is a little bit more disturbing because it's a piece of history, and it's a falsified piece of history that people just desecrated this woman's grave. That for better or for worse, it's what they did.
And so now you have people who are into witchcraft and things like that going there, believing that she was a witch, and like, oh, you poor lady, you know, oh, you were a witch, whatever. And then you have these people who believe that she's a witch, and they want to destroy her headstone because she's a freaking witch. It's like this woman can't, like, catch a break.
Right, she wasn't a witch, and ironically enough, her maiden name is Thayer, which is my name. My people come from the town right over the Mass border from Burrville in Mendon, Mass, and Mendon and Blackstone, which is right. So they could be, weird as it is, they could be a relation there, but there's nothing in history that indicates anything about her being any of that. So it's just
then they said they got it from the Black Book of Burrville. I actually got a copy of that. It's just a PDF file. Her name's not in there.
Yep. Yeah, and like Andrea Perrin, the woman who grew up in the house, the woman who wrote A House of Darkness, A House of Light, that was Spawn, the Conjuring movie. She never indicated that this woman was ever a witch. That was, they took the story, from what I understand, how she originally wrote it, and they massacred it. Hollywood did, and they made the movie.
No, that's not the story. That's not what I heard.
Oh, what did you hear?
All right, so even before the movie came out, it was God rest her soul, Carolyn, and I believe her friends went and did research and found Bathsheba Sherman in the Black Book of Burrville, and said what she had done to a child, and then she hung herself. I heard that story originated from Carolyn and her friends, or maybe it was just Carolyn.
Carolyn Perron, the girl who grew up there, yeah.
And then that's what she told the Warrens, which the Warrens didn't even bother to do any kind of research. They said they did.
Yeah, I don't know about
but
that.
They didn't. Yeah. And on top of that, here's Keith and Carl. They're there trying to help the family out, and all they wanted was the Warrens' opinion, and the Warrens just took it over.
Of course they did, yeah, and they ran with it. Yeah, I don't. The Warrens are big here around New England because they were from Connecticut, and their godson Bob Zaffis, John Zaffis, he's a great guy. He comes to a lot of the paracons around here, but they're like huge names in the paranormal around, especially around New England. I'm just not entirely sold on their legitimacy. There's been so many controversies over the years, and their cases are not really what people are experiencing. They tend to blow them out of proportions. You find that a lot in the paranormal.
Right. I mean, despite the controversies with the parents, good or bad, they did put the paranormal in a spotlight.
Of course they did. Yeah.
They did do that. And it did help get people to be a little more open about it. But it wasn't really until like the early 2000s, especially with Ghost Hunters, that boom,
that blew it up for everything. And there were like probably 35 shows that came on after Ghost Hunters, about the same kind of thing, doing about the same kind of stuff. But Ghost Hunters really blew it up. And Ghost Hunters is big for me because they're from my home state of Rhode Island. Their office, like I told you before the show, their second office was a mile west of where I work. Their other office in Apponaug is like a mile east of where I work now in Warwick. It's really small. It's a city, but it's where the airport is. But it's really small, tight knit community, and I've seen them around different places and stuff. Different like the Ghost Hunters team. Joe Chin's probably one of my favorites. He was on International. He was on the Ghost Hunters team. He was he's just a cool guy. But I mean, a lot of cool guys on that on the team. But they really brought ghost hunting or investigating to the forefront. I believe for sure, 100%, 100%.
I've met Dave
Tango.
I've
Dave Tango. Yep.
I've investigated with Dustin at an event.
I went to high school with Dustin.
Dustin, you know what? Here's what's funny. And I know everyone felt this way when Dustin was first on Ghost Hunters. People were like, "Oh my god, this guy's a douche." Oh my, I can't stand that guy. Da 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 da. It was just the way that they presented him on TV that just kind of turned you off a little bit. Dustin's a great guy.
Right.
He's a phenomenal guy, and he's always upbeat, always happy.
Oh, he's super motivated. It's super motivating. He's just
for Christ's sake, he listens to Christmas music when he works out. I mean, how much of a happier person could you possibly be?
Right. Right. Super positive guy.
And then I got to meet Jason, and Jason and I, we do talk. He's a great guy.
He's done a lot. He's done a lot for Rhode Island, for bringing people like myself out of the woodwork. People like that I've investigated with. Right. They became interested because they saw Jason Hawes on TV, and this guy's from Rhode Island, and he's doing this stuff, and he has like the rest of us, he has a side gig that makes the money, and this is just like for fun and shits and giggles. So it made it more real out of us.
I knew about the Taps team before they even had a TV show.
Mm-hmm. They were the Atlantic Paranormal. Yeah. They had lists of different haunted places around the Eastern Seaboard. I remember that he had a website.
It was ugly, but
but it was
at that time.
It was cool at that time because I think I was in my mid to late teens at that time, and I remember seeing this website, and it's the internet was a baby back then, and see all these places, these resources available. We used to go legend tripping, I guess you could say. We go to Mercy Brown, the vampire in Rhode Island, Mercy Brown. We go to her grave expecting to experience stuff. And then you have all these other places that are I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. That's awesome. And they give you all these resources for ghost hunting locations to go to when we were younger. So that was a great resource and a great thing that Jay provided. Then he went on TV and made a rock star of the paranormal investigator world. So that's great. A bit of gratitude is owed to Mr. Hawes and Grant Wilson. There's a lot of controversy that surrounds these guys sometimes about the legitimacy and whatnot. But like I tell everybody else, this is a network TV show, and they're trying to make money. So not everything you see is how it actually is. Most of the time, we're just sitting in the dock talking to each other, just laughing and fooling.
Yeah, I remember because we first got our computer. It was a gateway computer. Just aged myself, and I'm like, I wonder how many paranormal teams are out there. So I'm like, I don't remember what I searched, but a bunch of them popped up, and I was kind of going through them, and I seen Taps, and I clicked on that. I'm on dial-up, which was terrible.
I remember that.
Yeah, and waiting for the page to load up, and they're like, "Oh, they got these videos. Let's watch this video." And then I gotta wait for a 10-second video to load up, which took 15 minutes. And they had a video of a chair that was just rocking on its own, or a mirror that had that weird rotating mirror or whatever it was on there. And then I remember again seeing their names attached to MTV's Fear.
Oh yeah,
I believe that they were consultants for that.
Yeah.
which was pretty cool, but I didn't connect it at the time.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then like a bunch of other teams as well were on there. So I was like, so that was like the first time
Hmm.
I knew of them and others as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Taps as a whole, I don't think get enough credit.
No, right. They get a
Or
lot of flack.
recognition, because they really did. I mean, you know, and Lorraine Warren, they did put the spotlight on the paranormal. They opened the lid a little bit. They cracked that lid a little bit. But
my favorite part about Taps and Ghost Hunters was probably season 1. It was like they do like a residential, or they do maybe like a sports club or something. And not every case that they investigated was haunted. They debunked a lot of stuff, and they like, no, we don't believe it's haunted. And they go and they help people out. They go to people's houses and like, you know, they make them feel better. I'm like, you know, I want to do that stuff. That's
I mean,
cool.
hell, they fixed somebody's plumbing in one episode.
right, exactly. And like, this is why this stuff is happening. And it was incredible. As they started doing the live investigations on Halloween, that's when it's like, ooh, that's a lot of pressure to put on a ghost to react on a certain, like, all right, you guys, you got to do something tonight because we're live, and that's where unfortunately a lot of the controversy came from. I believe that Fort Mifflin live Halloween investigation where the collar was allegedly, I don't know, I don't know. Maybe it was faked, maybe it's not, but I wasn't there, so.
I mean, my opinion is that, and I don't think Jason was aware, but I think Grant was well aware.
Mm-hmm. You think it was a network decision?
I think it was a Grant decision.
Really?
Oh, I think so, and I could be wrong. I'm speculating.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm doing. I'm speculating.
It's tough to speculate. There's a lot of speculation surrounding around Jason Hawes. Not so much Jason Hawes these days here in Rhode Island, but his daughter Satori, her and her fiance Cody Beans, which is a lovely couple. They call themselves the Paranormal Couple. They do a lot of fun stuff. They have some haunted items. They worked at the Conjuring House for a number of months. They just recently ended their work there. Yeah. They were involved with some controversy brought through on another podcast where it claimed Cody and Satori experienced this thing with taps and knocking that happens when they're together investigating. They believe it's their energy together. And other people have said it's just Cody snapping his toes. Now, like I said before the show, I've known Cody since he was probably like 14, 15 years old. He's a great guy. He used to volunteer with a really, really great paranormal group here in Rhode Island called Rise Up Paranormal, headed by Ken DeCosta. He's like the godfather of Rhode Island Paranormal. He's given back. He's donated. He's really unique at how he investigates. You investigate with him. It's like, oh, I'm going to try that. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool way to look at things. So I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really know Satori that well, but she comes from a prestigious Rhode Island paranormal family. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you think?
So I have, I've seen all the debunking videos and all of that stuff. And look, the debunkers, they have a great point. They do. And they have pointed things out. And I'm always like, if it's too good to be true, that old saying, right?
Toss it out. Right.
But at the same time, nobody has definitively debunked them.
Right.
I know that they've been asked, hey, do this thing, do this challenge from Kenny Biddle. Do this.
Yeah, I bet Kenny.
And, for whatever reason, they won't. And I know Jason got some shit, from people, upset that he would defend, his daughter and things like this. Like, dude, that's his daughter.
Right.
Like, I respect the fact that, he did, he is standing up for his daughter. He is defending his daughter.
Right.
So, I get that whole thing. like I said, if it's, like I said, too good to be true, the old saying.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't been definitively debunked.
Right. And they are, honestly, they're not only people debunking them, but people are throwing their names through the gutter and saying atrocious things about them. And Cody and Satori are some of the like sweetest people I know.
No, when
this guy
Dawn
survived cancer when he was a kid. He's a survivor. He's a wonderful individual. So
when Dawn and I, when it was a video call with Jason, we were talking to him, and then in comes his family. Here's Cody, here's Satori. They were sweet. They were very nice.
Mm-hmm.
What baffles me too, though, is that this has been a thing before the whole Sam and Colby video.
Yep.
It's been a thing before that. They've done it on Ghost Hunters or Ghost Nation, whichever show it was.
Right. Yep.
All right, so they've done that. Nobody said a word about it until they do this thing with Sam and Colby.
Yep.
Which is fucking scary, because that means more people are paying attention to these YouTubers who are doing it for entertainment,
right,
than they are people who are actually out there, like actually investigating.
Right.
That to me is far more concerning.
They're sitting in their living rooms and they're talking shit from across the computer. They're not. There's no conjecture there. They're just like bouncing bullshit out their ass. So,
well, like I said, I see their points. Right. I'm friends with the debunkers. I'm a part of that. So I understand where they're coming from. And if people are going to make claims, especially like big claims, then question it. I even tell people, whatever I put out there on YouTube, you can question it. It doesn't bother me. Bother me at all.
Makes it feel more skeptical. It makes it more well-rounded to ask and to question and to, absolutely.
Right. I mean, there's one location, I won't name, but people are questioning what's coming out of a certain location, and they're blocking people. When they question, what they call an EVP.
Yep.
They're like, is that really an EVP? Because it sounds like something else, or the quality of the audio isn't good, just whatever, or questioning whatever, history or anything, doesn't matter. Is when they question that, they shut those people down. They block them. There are many people who have been blocked by them.
So that's kind of weird. That's kind of like, makes you go, why would they do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Question everything. And there's nothing wrong with questioning Tori and Satori, as long as it's done in a respectful manner. There's no reason, and the debunkers aren't necessarily doing it, but it's these other people who they just ripped, like ripping them apart, threatening them. Nobody should be threatened. Things like that. That's ridiculous. It's fine to question and have an opinion. Just don't be threatening people. That's not cool.
No, not at all.
Nobody's okay with that.
Right. You just come. It's awful. Facebook tough. So I don't know. I don't know if you've heard of the Hinsdale House. Have you been out to the Hinsdale House yet, Joe? I want
to go to the Hinsdale House. We got Hinsdale Girl in the chat. We loved Hinsdale Girl. She's a great supporter. She absolutely loves the Hinsdale House. Obviously, the name.
Fantastic place. Dan is a fantastic guy. They're currently going through. I have it at the bottom of the screen. They're currently going through a battle right now. This 13-year-old daughter is battling. Shaylee is battling cancer. She has bone cancer. They set up a GoFundMe account. Just running on the show. It's cancer's an awful thing, man. It's horrible. It's got to be even worse for a kid who could be out there like playing softball and swimming, and she's right now getting chemo treatments in the hospital. as I couldn't imagine what that's to go through as a kid or as a parent to watch your kid go through that. It's got to be
Right.
heartbreaking. So
You
we
know
here
what?
at the
Though?
we here
It's
at the
gonna
Ghost
make
and the Go want to support that. So
Yeah, definitely. Go support. I did put a link on my Facebook for the GoFundMe.
mhm.
I need to do that again, or repost it. Even though she's not out there, playing with her friends, enjoying the summer like all the other normal kids would do, she kind of turned out to be one tough cookie.
Yeah, right. It's going to
I
make
mean,
her a survivor, and
right.
it's going to definitely define her as a person for sure. And we wish Haley all the best of luck, and the Cleese family and the Hinsdale house all the best of luck. The Hinsdale house has been on my bucket list. I've interviewed Dan a few times. I've heard phenomenal stories about that place. It's out in Western New York, so it's about a 7.5 hour ride. It's on my list. I'll get there one day, but in
It's like a
between,
13 or 12-hour drive for me.
it's not too bad. I don't mind driving, but yeah,
I don't like driving.
after 12 hours, it
I'm
gets a little
sick of
bit
it.
long.
Yeah, well, I mean, I spent from 2016 all the way up to now driving all across the country, all
Mhm.
over the place. And when people say, "Oh, we're overpopulated. There's not enough room for people," I'm like, "Have you driven around the country lately?
Oh
Because
my
let me
God,
tell you something.
there's some
There's a
spacious areas out there.
whole lot of nothing out there.
Oh
Like
yeah, for sure,
nothing."
for sure. I've driven like through Midwest. It's just nonstop, like those nonstop cornfields for
Yep.
miles. Or Maine, you go through northern Maine. There's no mountains. It's all potato fields. As far as the eye can see, potato field
Yep.
after potato field. Then it's Canada. So that's
Um,
there's plenty of room out there for sure.
but yeah, the Hinsdale house has been on my list. I don't even know what, like, I can't even come up with an excuse as to why I haven't been there. I mean, I want to go, but I've been told by several people who have investigated the Hinsdale house are like, investigate, investigate the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's really more the grounds than the house, which is kind of like the case with the Conjuring house. Yeah.
Right.
Which,
It's in the
hey,
middle of nowhere, right? It's in the middle of nowhere, New York, right? It's very like a desolate area, right? Or not desolate, but I mean very
I believe
very
that is
rural.
an,
Hmm.
yeah. And I'd love to go out there and investigate. And Daniel, he's a great guy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I do like him a lot. He's just an awesome guy.
Hmm.
But I've been meaning to go out there, so that'll probably be on the list for next year.
That's awesome. So before we wrap up, Joe, do you have anything else that you'd like to throw out there? Anything you guys are doing anywhere we can check out your stuff, more your documentaries, more your stuff, if interested.
Well, I mean, as of right now, the documentary is still being edited. We're going to be in September, the end of September. We're going to be at the that Warren Paracon thing that's happening in Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, that's in September, right?
Yeah, we'll be
Nice.
guest speakers there. We're just there to promote the documentary and hang out, meet people, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if anybody's interested in that,
It was a good time, man. I'm going out to Gettysburg for the end of this month for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. I've been to Gettysburg about 7 times in my life, always for the history. I love the history. I love the battlefield. I love going to see all the Rhode Island monuments, all the great history. It's the first time I'll go there for a ghosty type event. I'm taking my girlfriend. She's never been to Gettysburg. So I'm going to spend most of my time there, like reflecting on the battlefield. But I'm going to try and meet some of these great people that I've interviewed over the years that are going to be at the event that I've never actually met in person. So it'll be great to put it I put a face with a name. I know that, but I mean, just to like actually meet these people in person rather than doing this internet thing, which is always great. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a great time out there in Gettysburg. It's always a fun time.
And yes, Hinsdale girl, Dawn will be there with us too. I wouldn't leave her behind.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm just one of those people too, though. The only time I go to events is if I'm going to be a guest there.
Yep.
Other than that, the crowd.
I've done the Paracon, so we did it for years. We set up tables and talked to people and stuff. It's a long day, especially when we did for years the Ocean State Paracon. It was in Harrisville. It was outside in July. I melted year after year. I melted. It's very draining.
Yeah, we did our event in August for the premiere for the Harrisville Haunting, and it was outside.
Yeah.
Well, the movie part was.
Mm-hmm. It's a little toasty out there, and then the rain comes and goes, and sometime up here and then we get the snow all throughout the winter. All right, so yeah, by all means, check out Joe Vitale, all his great stuff. Entity 7 Paranormal. That's your group. That's where you investigate with, or is that your production company?
Well, it's a mix of both. It's the YouTube channel, and it's also the production side of things too. Except it's films instead of paranormal.
Nice. Like that a lot.
What's the difference, really?
That's great, man. Keep doing great things. Speaking of great things, again, Thursday night, be sure to check us out here live on the Van Down by the Riv podcast on Facebook, or vandownbytherivpodcast.com, or Van Down by the Riv podcast on YouTube for our premiere of episode 3 of 3 Dudes Brews. Me and the dudes visit Vigilant Brewing in Bristol, Rhode Island, and we tell you what dessert sours are all about. Peanut butter and jelly beer. Let me tell you, this is not it's like, it's peanut butter, you sip it, it's jelly. Oh my God, it's the most delicious thing ever, and you can find it only in Bristol, Rhode Island. Tune in for that. Saturday night, let me throw this out here at you really quickly before I go off. Saturday night, so every episode of Three Dudes Brews, every episode of The Ghost and the Goat, we play different songs. There's probably about 5 of them I have. The writer of those songs is a man by the name of Derek DiPietro. He's a drummer of this band here, Exploder. He's also a DJ. He was a DJ for a number of years with a local band with a bunch of great guys, minus one. And then there'll be the 610 Connector will come on. They're a nice rock metal band. And then Noma. Now, Noma is a band comprised of an amazing bassist by the name of Paul Phillips, Paulie P, if you will. Let's see, Dave. Hold on, I got the thing right here. Dave Evans, also formerly of State of Corruption. Patrick Guthrie, Johnny Guthrie, Horace Darling, Pete Guthrie, Derek DiPietro. I already said his name, and one of the best drummers, and one of my closest friends. He's the man that introduced me to incredible beer and incredible metal drumming. Bill Sutherland, aka Bill Gore. They're going to premiere their band Noma. I don't think they've ever played live. This would be their first time playing live as that band. Again, come out if you're in Providence. Come out and support great local music at the Polar. It's in Providence, on North Main Street. It's a $10 cover fee, and you'll get to see some of probably the most underrated, greatest musicians to come out of the New England area. These guys are a little bit older than I am and play music like nobody's business. It'll be a great time. Be sure to come by and stop by and drink a beer with a buddy. For Joe Vitale, actually, next one more thing. Next week, tune in to The Ghost and the Goat. I don't know if the Goat's going to be with me, but we're going to have Bam Ghouls Paranormal Group on. They're going to come in and they're going to share some of their best stuff from different investigations they've had. And we're going to review some of this stuff. We're going to look at some of this stuff. You tell us what you think. I'll tell you what I think. They're going to tell us what they think. For Joe Vitale, for Bam's the Goat, for the Boston Red Sox, who are playing much better baseball. This is Buddy there. It's been another great edition of The Ghost and the Goat. I hope everybody has a great night. See you guys Thursday night. Toodles.